Welcome to the CouncilCast. This is episode 296, being recorded on May 14th, 2024. The Council is now in session, and every week we will make arbitrary decisions about topics on science, technology, and random shit.
Random shit?
Random. Do you have it on like a keyboard? It's like random shit.
I wish that I had a cool keyboard. I just have the built-in Riverside one,
like,
which is better than
like random,
the one that we used to have, which was not having a soundboard. With little background.
With little background and absolutely no expertise. All CouncilCast decisions are final and have no bearing on anything whatsoever.
We're playing it out already. Thanks. It's been a great no minutes.
The part of the song we never hear.
The last episode of CouncilCast. Just joking.
Until next week.
Until next week. Or the week after. Actually, next week might be hard. We might have to cancel next week. We'll talk about it after the show.
All right. Well, something that we can talk about on the show, though, is how the NASA rover has now reached the best place that it could possibly find fossilized life on Mars.
Yes.
How do they know that it's the best place without having checked?
They think that it has. They think that it has the best chance because it is a area that contains remnants of ancient mud and other sediment that they believe came from a river or lake.
Okay.
So, assuming that whatever was in that lake probably drained, died, and is now stuck at the bottom of that lake bed.
Cool.
And hopefully fossilized.
Wow.
So at this point in time, we don't really know if we're going to actually find anything.
We're
but
going to
apparently
find something.
The big thing is that they're going to the rover's going to actually scoop up a whole bunch of samples and send them back to Earth for us to look at, I guess.
Wait,
mainly because
how's it going to send it?
I don't know. Someone's going to go pick it up, I guess. Like Uber delivery, Uber Eats.
Oh.
I mean, why not, right?
They're going to Uber deliver, eat the moon. What are we, the Mars?
Yeah, I mean, the Mars rover is going to pick up
fossils?
Yep, they're going to pick up the fossils, and then NASA's just going to order Uber Eats to go pick it up. Like,
dope.
Your food's ready. But yeah, if it does happen, it could be potentially a huge finding for other life in the universe. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what life we find. The very first instance of us finding something that is life that isn't on Earth will be monumental. It will be proof that life can happen elsewhere and has evolved elsewhere, and that we're not just like a fluke.
I mean,
exactly.
Dope.
Here they say the specimens will be returned to Earth by another mission, so they don't know how they're going to currently get them back. So I think if I was Uber, I'd say, hey, let me add Mars as a pickup spot for my Uber Eats.
Thumbs.
But yeah, thumbs up for continuing to try and find some life here. I mean, it sounds like if it's going to happen here, this is a good spot to check. I just don't know how long it's going to take for them to actually confirm it. It'll probably be like 20 years from now before we get those samples back.
How are they getting the sample back?
They're gonna have to. They're sending another mission to go pick them up, but that mission isn't.
I didn't hear it. I thought I just missed a portion of like this mission where it was like we also sent it up with like a return to sender envelope.
Yep, the intergalactic post office is just gonna pick it up.
Yeah, I thought I just missed it.
No, they apparently the European Space Agency has a planned mission to go pick stuff up, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So
nice.
Sometime in the future. But anyway, there you go. possible life, which is really, really good. That we're already pre-planning for finding life out there, because the next stop is going to be finding out on the moon, which we now know the moon is going to get its own time zone for people who live there.
What's the
What
name?
time is it at the moon?
Moon time?
It's going to be called Coordinated Lunar Time,
CLT?
LTC.
Or,
Yeah, they're calling it LTC. Yeah.
Because they don't want it to say
Clit.
Yeah.
What's your clit time today?
Bro.
Gross.
But yeah, apparently there's so many people who are now going to the moon, and with the U.S. trying to land people there again, they decided it's probably a good time to create its own
Will my
coordinated
iPhone
lunar
automatically detect that I have stepped onto the moon and changed me to
I'm
LTC
sure it will.
time?
Absolutely.
I hope that your iPhone is set up for that. You know that some programmers already push that in. Like
Added it to
your next
like
Mac
Google
update
Calendar
is gonna be
time
like,
zone.
oh,
yeah.
by the way,
would. Why wouldn't you? If I work from lunar time. What will it most closely match, Blaine?
Probably UTC would be my guess.
Yeah, it's just gonna be UTC, right?
Probably.
But theoretically, if we like did some colonization of the moon, like we would do time zones just like we do here.
Yeah, there's apparently the lunar clock. They don't have it finalized yet, but apparently it should gain 56 microseconds over the course of a day, of an Earth day.
What?
So the whole point of it is so that people know what time to kind of call each other, I guess. If you're on the moon and want to call home, you're not calling somebody in the middle of the night with your iPhone.
That seems like a problem that needs solving.
Yeah, this all very much seems like, man, I like the planning ahead though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, we'll see if anybody else actually adopts it as a time zone. So, at least the U.S. will have its own time zone on the moon, and maybe
Setting
5 other people will.
mine to moon time.
Moon time.
Now. Done. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for the tip.
Thumbs up for Apple already having that in the Apple Watch. So, good job there.
Yeah, they're all over it like white on rice. Like
Now
a
you're
starving man
coordinated.
on a Christmas ham.
Well, something that you might want to start paying for with your Apple Watch if you want to get your fast internet speeds on the moon is that AT&T is now offering a $7 a month fee for Turbo 5G.
What is that? What? What's
that?
So, if you remember a few weeks ago, we talked a little bit about net neutrality coming back. And now, within the last couple of weeks, AT&T is now going to start charging mobile customers an extra $7 a month if you want access to faster wireless data speeds.
No.
So, companies already do that? Like, are we talking general? Like, across the board, faster speeds?
Nope.
Because, okay, we're talking certain services will be made faster by paying an extra $7 a month.
Yes.
Which services are they? The bandwidth-hungry ones?
Apparently are targeting gaming applications is the first one.
Huh. Mobile gaming, I guess, I don't know. Is mobile gaming a huge segment? I'm way out of touch on this.
It must be.
But what? Like, what are they trying to slow down? Like, what do you...
Fortnite, I don't know.
Fortnite doesn't require a ton of bandwidth. Like, none of these games require a ton of bandwidth, right? Like, I don't... It's streaming services that are eating all the fucking... Like, I don't know. I'm curious, actually. I don't know the actual answer to this. But I would be floored if the games themselves are eating up that much bandwidth.
Okay, so it also will allow you to increase your video streaming rate. So you would be able to turn on like HD video.
That already happens.
Maybe not if you're on AT&T. I don't know.
This happens on like Verizon plans and a lot of plans. Like there's like 2 like instances of this happening. Like if I don't pay for a high enough plan on some of the carriers, I don't get access to like the 5G ultra wideband. Like, but if you pay for like the higher plans, you do. And then there's like the component of if you aren't on like I think when I was on like the prepaid plan, it didn't matter what service I was on. I don't think I could get like the super high def video while on a tower. I had to be on the postpaid plan, which you pay more for, and be paying for that. So like there's always been a component of I have to pay more to get better streaming on my mobile device.
Right.
They're just making it explicit and not part of a plan. Like, is this something you can add on to any plan? Because in times before it was gated till maybe you had to have like the unlimited plan. Like,
so there is still some of that. You still have to be a 5G phone, and it's apparently limited to certain unlimited plans yet. So you can't just apply it to anything, it sounds like.
I just can't
it also does not give you more data.
Is going to be that high.
I don't think so either.
I mean, to
but
be
I'm
honest,
reading a little
I
bit more.
Watch a lot of stuff on my phone, like streaming via the cell towers. I just don't do it.
We do a decent amount if we're in the car with the kids.
But
or
that
like if I'm at the
we have
airport or
pre-downloaded stuff on like an iPad.
Yeah, we do that. But then if we run out or the iPad dies or we forget it or, whatever, then we switch to our phones.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be high def.
Oh, it does.
So it's not just faster speeds. So apparently AT&T is actually, and I take it back, they're apparently not doing it just for particular applications. It's across the board, but they're basically changing your quality of service class identifier. They're moving basically you up an entire level in their network prioritization.
So like at the underlying, like the routes that you are given, like you're paying for better pathing through their network even. So if they have peering agreements that are more expensive that get you better latency and more throughput, you may get that, but the other person who doesn't pay $7 a month might not.
Yep.
So as much as I hate this, I feel like if my ISP offered me this, I would pay the $7. Because if I could just like pay the thing to be like, hey, I want to be in the group that's under like high prioritization, which means in times of congestion, I'm prioritized. Like I would pay that, no question.
Yeah, so on AT&T's,
I don't want them to see this, but I would pay that. If it meant that I was truly a first-class citizen now, like as opposed to just treated like the other people that are paying for their internet. Because like, the grandma who just like, watches stuff every once in a while probably doesn't need to pay that because she doesn't care about network prioritization. I care. I want to like be ahead in times of congestion because like I use it every day for work, right? So
So if you're on AT&T, so here's how they have it classified. So QC6 is first responder level. QC7 is what you can buy your way into with Turbo.
Well, QC6 is like if you're a fire station or a police station,
Yep. And then QC8 is where normal people live now. So they said
I
before...
can buy into what? A step down from first responder?
Yep.
That makes sense. Like, I shouldn't be treated the same level, right?
Yep.
Like, if the packet has to be determined to be dropped, first responder packet wins.
First responder versus me. No, okay, you're right.
If this were a thing that I could pay for and was like distinguished through my normal ISP, I think I'd pay it. I don't know.
Yeah, so obviously
I
don't know if this will be a thing for ISPs yet or not.
I wouldn't pay it on my mobile. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, this is just AT&T's mobile plans at this point.
Yeah,
so
there's no incentive for me to pay that on my mobile device. I'm connected to Wi-Fi 99% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would pay for something like this or not. I don't work from home, so I don't have that as a big issue for me. It's not a huge deal.
I mean, it's not like it's a big deal all the time. It's just, I don't know. It seems like it's worth $7 a month to me to have that assurance. But if they told me it was an extra like $50 a month, I'm not going to pay for that.
Right.
Unless it was something that work would splurge for like paying on top of to have a better internet connection. But I mean, they're not. They already pay for my internet connection.
That's fair. So yeah, I guess we'll see kind of what happens if they take this. I don't know if they'll apply this to like
neutrality stuff before. Like, I mean, the argument you'll get from like internet purists is that all traffic should be treated equal, which is pretty obviously not something that should be true. Like, I don't think anybody could successfully argue that like the fire station or the police station's packet should lose out,
should get dropped over to you.
Should lose out to my Netflix packet. That is pretty, like, you can argue it. I'm just going to disagree with you, and I think most people would disagree with you. So where you have the argument then is like, okay, so have they created this new tier then, or have they bumped all the quote unquote, I'm going to call them normies, have they moved the normies down a tier, and now you have to buy your way into like the tier that it was already there that everybody was in before? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, because like if the state of the union before was, if that's what they did, then that's kind of shitty. But if what they did is kept all the normies the same, added a tier in the middle, allow you to buy into that, and just literally in the, like, not firewall rules, but I'm going to say firewall rule for simplicity, in the rules for what packets do we drop, you've bought into being that like one above the normies. Like, but everything else is the same. They don't throttle you anymore, really. Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Like,
yeah, I'm not exactly sure how they created the new level, if it existed before and they just had people span across it. But the way it reads,
the same.
The way it reads is it basically bumps everybody, the normies to your use your nomenclature, bumped everybody back a level, and then added a new level that people can buy back into.
But is the only negative routing during times of which packet should get dropped? Like, that's how it makes it sound. If that's the case, I don't know how I feel about it, because I just like hearing about it and like thinking through it, I think I like the ability to have the option to buy into a higher class.
Maybe that's probably a good point. Like, I could maybe see saying, hey, I would want this sometimes, but not maybe all the time.
I mean, but it's rarely going to affect you. So what it would probably mostly be most of the time is just them getting $7 more. Like, but not 100%. Like, in order to support that stuff, they have to like pay for like the things that like make it happen, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, let's say, I guess maybe here would be an example. Like, let's say I'm going to go on a cross-country tour of a whole bunch of concerts. And, so it's always going to be a ton of people. It's always going to be a congestion network. And I'm going to do that for the next month. And so I want to pay into this next service to make sure that my phone works.
Right? That's congestion central. Yeah. Like going to Iowa State football game. But if you pay extra, but here's where it breaks down. Once people figure it out, they're going to say, I want to pay $7 before I go to the Iowa State home game.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Everyone's going to do it. And then everyone's going to get there. They're all going to have it. And suddenly it doesn't matter because you've overloaded. So here's the deal. In a situation like that, though, what's getting overloaded, if people are connecting to like stadium Wi-Fi and stuff and it's not supporting it, is you've overloaded the immediate access points that everybody's trying to connect to. When it's cell phones, you're overloading towers. Like that's a different problem. So like, what happens if everybody has paid their $7? You still have the same amount of people trying to use the towers. It's the same hardware. It's not a backbone problem. It's a tower problem. So now you start to run into that. Well, everybody paid, but they're not getting the
only upside here for me listening to this whole thing is that first responders would be able to actually connect with people during the Iowa State football game or whatever, during the football game when those towers are overloaded.
But that already happens today. They're already a level higher.
First responders are already in like a special tier.
Then what the hell are we doing this for?
That's what I'm trying. Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is that so?
You know what? I retract it.
Blaine, I'm trying to understand too whether we're literally talking about like network packet routing.
I honestly don't know because it doesn't say.
Like, will my packet literally take a different path through the infrastructure that is more favorable because I've paid the $7, or is this like a packet dropping thing in times of congestion, or a combination of that and other things, or none of what I just said? That's what I want
Probably
to know.
a combination of all of the above would be my guess.
I might pay $7. Most people should not care. Like, I'll tell you this: most people should not care to be in that group, because if you're still part of the normies group, you're all in the same pile you were before. Like, I don't know.
Here's what AT&T specifically says. It will optimize their plan's high speed and hotspot data allotments and provide better data performance even during busy times on the network. So
for the people that
however they're doing that, I don't know.
But it's not like, I mean, hopefully they're using their added dollars by people paying for it to build out the portions of like the network and the processes and stuff that need to support like that level of service. Like today, like hope. I mean, if the network's congested today, you know, I'm just, and you're just, and Blaine is just in the pool of general normies that like get throttled or packets are upped or whatever.
Normies.
So in the event that you can pay $7 and be in the next group, and like, okay, the network's congested now for whatever reason, you're treated more favorably. Like, I don't know, that seems okay to me. I don't know why I feel okay about this, but I'm anti all the other things that happened. I'm having a hard time like wrapping my head around it. I think before, because it was, and maybe it's the presentation thing and they've got me now on presentation, but like what they were doing before, what were they doing before? Weren't they saying things like they were calling it net neutrality, but saying like you were going to have to pay, like if you wanted to have like Netflix and be able to watch in high def, you were always going to have to, and then like you had to add on, like if you wanted to be YouTube, you got to add them on too. Like, so like it was going to be very like piecemeal.
Yeah, so I mean, I think part of it is
to
the
me
way
that's
that it
different
was
than like paying for different like tiering of like my network packet dropping during times of congestion. Those are different things.
Right, and I think part of it is like before they were really talking. Again, it goes to kind of how they handle stuff on the back end. It was, I would say, a lot less. This is what you consumer are going to actually see. Like, you do this, you get this. Like, what it was actually kind of saying was, hey, AT&T or whoever your provider is, like, they're going to say, hey, we're going to actually charge the services a premium to have better prioritization on our network. And then that cost is going to have to go to the company, and then the company is going to turn around and say, hey, we're going to charge you more maybe for this particular service, or the ISP could turn around and say, hey, we're going to charge you more if you want access to faster Netflix.
This isn't wildly
or HD
different.
Netflix or whatever it is. Like,
I'm trying to compare this to other utilities, but it doesn't, there aren't really good analogies on that side. Like, is there the concept of like I pay more on my bill every month to get like more assured electricity? Like, that's not a thing, right?
I mean, probably not. It's probably not too much of a thing here, but I mean, I could see. I mean, it's different, but like, you know, you haven't, like in California, they have like rolling brownouts. Like,
yeah, so
I could see a power company possibly saying pay extra to not be
brownout. Yeah, and it should be a fee that makes it like it's high enough that not a lot of people want to do it, but it's low enough that the people that do like feel like they need it can buy it. Because most people should look at it and go, okay, no, you don't want a large adoption of that feature.
Right.
Or you do, and you make a shitload more money now, and you can build out the infrastructure.
But then you just beef up the infrastructure. Right.
So, I mean, that would be the natural, like, but like, I would think that would require.
But do you think
so high?
Cell phone companies are going to build out infrastructure?
No, because proven track record is telecoms take that money and fucking waste it.
Yup. They just like take it out on a boat.
Isn't the big joke? I'm going to repeat something that
Throw it
I
in the
am not an
ocean.
authority on, but this is CouncilCast, so it's okay. Isn't like the big joke, Blaine, is that like, you know, we had this big, huge like money pool that we gave to the telecoms to build out the fastest internet ever around the country, and everybody's still like, where is that internet? Where is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
Like,
that's very true.
Like maybe it's just taken a really long time to manifest, but like, I mean, you've got some companies doing like rural stuff, and like it's been way easier to roll out rural fiber than like in town, right? It's a fucking thing in town, but out in the rural middle of nowhere, you just get a trencher and you go. Like, so so to answer your question, no, I don't trust just being like them to do the right thing with that money. Of course I don't.
Do the right thing. It was a good movie.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think there is really a whole lot of other. I mean, the only other closest thing I could possibly say is like different energy rates at low peak hours, off peak hours, or something like that. But
Yeah, maybe
even
you
that's
do
a
some
little
stuff like that,
a
like,
little goofy. Yeah.
yeah.
It's not quite the same.
I don't know. I'm just like having a hard time with myself. Like, I'm annoyed that I don't hate it at face value because I've hated all the other net neutrality stuff.
I mean, I think part of it comes down to like we're saying, like if they actually were to take the money and say, "Hey, look at all these improvements we did by having this service," like maybe that would be a different story.
What I would, I think I'm trying to decide if okay, so the argument of like okay now, like 75% of your customer base is like okay, yeah, we're gonna pay the $7 fee. I'll guarantee you that it's not built for 75% adoption rate.
Yeah, probably not.
And that the stuff that is there to provide them with the features during congestion times or whatever the fuck else they're doing is not built to handle that many people adopting it. Like that they would run into the same problem. It's just your entire pool now pays for the higher bandwidth. But if you didn't do anything to make that bandwidth more, you know, whatever
yeah,
it would require you to do,
thing.
replacing
like
switches or do whatever.
If they had someone in my neighborhood who's like, hey, just want to let you know, setting up a new tower, and like I'm watching them do it, then I might invest in this. But until they have proven that they're actually doing something, I'm not inclined to be super supportive of it.
I mean, but it's not unheard of to pay more to get better service. We do it all the time when we choose the speed of the internet we want.
We do.
Which makes total sense because most people don't need wicked fast internet, bruh. Like most people who think they do, myself included, don't necessarily actually. Like it benefits me.
I'm over here right now trying to set up my 10 gig internet
of
house.
all the people that have an argument for faster internet, Silas wins. Like of all the people I know, like I mean, I feel like I can justify some of it. Like it depends on whether the things I'm connecting to can allow me to pull like the work related stuff any faster, and save me some time. But Silas wins just due to the raw amount of video that he's uploading and downloading to like cloud related things. Like that, you just need bandwidth for that. My bandwidth is spiky, like doing Docker container like pulls and stuff. Like I want to wait as little as possible when I'm doing that type of thing. I don't know. I feel like I'd pay it, and for whatever reason, I feel less gross about this. Although I could very easily be convinced that it's gross, because I want to hate the telecoms. Like, don't get me wrong, I want to hate them all.
Yeah, you know, this one it definitely doesn't seem quite as
except for the small fiber providers. I really like the small like mom and pop fiber. Like if I just had umpteen money, I would love to just be like living in kind of a ruralish area, trying to make like a rural fiber like internet provider work, because I just like the idea of trying to bootstrap something like that and getting everybody on board and running it and buying.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a thumbs down on this one until AT&T or so. You know, I guess maybe if AT&T
sideways. Tentative. I could be convinced that it's bad, but I'm kind of at neutral to I would pay it.
I'm gonna go bad until they prove that it works.
That said, just because I'm paying for it to get put into the top tier group doesn't mean that it's good. It might just be the state of what I'm living in and have to do, right?
Yep.
But I don't have that option now. I don't have that option. I'm just as likely to lose packets as you, as whoever, except unless I'm a cop, right? Or whatever that service is. But anyway, thumb sideways.
Whole different level there. Well, what happens if you actually take your turboing too far and you go too fast?
Your what?
If you turbo too fast.
Turbo?
Yeah, if you turbo too much. Yeah,
you turbo too much, you go blind. At least that's what my grandpa told me.
Well, that's what Intel is finding out with their Core i9 14900KS desktop processor, which apparently has been having nothing but problems since it came out, where it will just randomly, I think earlier this year.
Oh, so this is a new processor that's having issues.
Yes, it is a new processor, and apparently there's been a lot of complaints around it, like shutting down, overheating a whole lot, a whole bunch of stuff like that.
So
and
Intel's
well, it
not the
turns
only one
out
that has problems. Remember the AMD processors that were threatening to take your entire motherboard out?
Yeah, this is pretty much the same situation because and Intel is now blaming the motherboard manufacturers because they're saying, "Hey, you guys aren't
this
putting
story sounds
enough."
Familiar.
Yeah, you guys are not putting enough power limits on your boards. You're basically just letting them run at unlimited power limits, and turns out when you do that, you end up with some really hot parts.
Like in the course of normal operation, no overclocking. Really this is happening because that's what was happening to some of those AMD chips.
Yes, no overclocking, stock settings, everything. Like you bought it brand new motherboard, put the two of them together, did nothing, turned it on. The motherboard basically said, "Hey, yeah, I'll let you go to unlimited power. Like I'll let you run 500 amps through your processor if you want, if it wants it." Poof. And it's basically pulling, like these processors were pulling upwards of 400 watts, and it obviously was creating a thermal issue.
Yeah,
isn't that how many watts they used to electrocute the elephants, Thomas Edison?
Yes, it's about the same.
500 watts is not like it's not a crazy amount of power, but it is for a processor.
Yeah, for a processor, that's kind of insane. So, yeah, people like you basically were like you have to do custom loop cooling to be able to get it cool enough and huge rads and stuff like that. And people obviously were not doing that and causing a lot of problems. So Intel's like, hey, yeah, it's not our fault. You guys ran everything at stupid limits, but
it's funny. This is almost word for word what happened with the AMD shit. They blamed the board manufacturers and all that shit. Yeah.
Don't do that anymore. Stop it, guys. Stop it.
It's funny that it happened immediately with like the next gen of Intel chips too. Because like at the time it was like everybody's like, see, this is why I always do Intel. There you go. Like same fucking problem.
Yeah, I mean the general consensus from what I've heard is that like Intel basically has just pushed this processor architecture and stuff to basically as far as it'll go. Because basically they came back and said, hey, here's the limits you should run at, and it's like a quarter of what they were before.
Part of my understanding of why some of these things become an issue is because this is just what I'm like vaguely remembering reading one time. The chip manufacturers, Intel and AMD, are ever cagey about like their stuff and the results and like how much faster it is than the next one. Like so much so that like embargoes will end like when the thing goes on sale. Like, so you didn't have time to prep on like, am I going to buy it? Am I not? So like it is, that does. And along with that, the article I was reading, like I think way back, was talking about how like board partners will not get like the final specs or the best guidance until like they need to be producing this stuff months in advance. So if they're just having to guess, like it's no surprise that like some of the board partners are having issues like staying on top of it, or just like it could have just been like straight up placeholder values, like the best the last they had or the best they could guess. And then literally the day shows up where like the thing's released and they release final guidance. Like, yeah, I remember reading this somewhere. I think it was around the time like the Ryzen stuff was blowing up, or maybe.
I mean, that could be because I remember Ryzen had a huge motherboard issue because the board manufacturers did not know anything about it.
Through it.
And then there was the whole voltage thing, and
this is the one where like you could take the cooler off the chip and you would see literally a burn mark on the heatsink.
Yeah,
that was ultimately a board,
and the power phases weren't right and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. But like I remember there being arguing on like, is this AMD's fault? Is it the board partner's fault? Which is I think when I was reading some of the stuff about like, well, they didn't get the stuff until like an unreasonable amount of time late, so like they couldn't quickly incorporate it into their like, I don't know what
not if they wanted to have something ready day one.
Right, because none of the chip manufacturers trust these people because like they're probably the greatest source of leaks because they don't get to like AMD and Intel can control their own employees probably decently well. It's most of the leaks on like specs and all that stuff is probably coming from out like the manufacturing process that they don't control. Like,
right,
if you're having TMC or whatever the name of the fucking company is that does those chips. So
well, plus I'm assuming like a board manufacturer, they have to have samples, so now you got people running real parts, doing who knows what with them. So but yeah, moral of the story is I guess if you have a i9 14900KS, you might want to you might not want to run it at defaults.
750 X3.
You want to overclock that sucker? That's what I heard.
I like
yes,
that
please overclock.
It's gone well so far.
Oh, you got an X3D?
I have the 7950 X3D.
50? Yeah. I think Derek got that too, actually.
They're nice. I mean, they're the like viewed as the better gaming processors. If you were pure multitasking, get the X.
Yeah.
I like AMD's stuff because I feel like I understand it more than I understand the performance and efficiency core business.
Oh, yeah.
Because
like
Intel does performance and efficiency cores, right? Like, and like trying to decide, like, like AMD's, like some cores are better than the others too, but they don't break them up like that. And like, it's just if people are trying to figure out like, what their best overclocking cores are, like they'll do one core at a time. They'll literally shut all the other cores off and like try that core and then try the next core, see like what the max of each core is. And then once they find the best cores, like, maybe they found like 4 that are like really good and you can push to like 5.9 gigahertz and hold it there really easily on air or something. I don't know, whatever. I'm just making shit up. It's not correct numbers. But then you've got some really good single-threaded performance right there, and you don't have to jack all the other ones up because, I don't know, it depends on your workloads, right? So, anyway.
Yep. Well, there you go. Well, I guess thumbs up for pushing it to the max. So
push it to
why
the
not?
Limit. Walk
Thumbs up for overclocking.
This is accidental overclock. Ooh, that'd be a good band name. Accidental Overclock. A good chiptunes band name.
There you go.
Oh, now I want it.
It would be an 8-bit band only.
Yeah, that's chiptunes.
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, now I'm really sad that Brian's not here tonight because
I just texted this article.
The Meta Quest headsets are now ready for you to wear while you're on a plane.
Oh.
You can, in fact, they've enabled the pass-through vision, so you can now wear your Quest 2 or 3 headset, and it'll allow you to basically look around while you're on a flight. Well, you also have things going on, I guess. So it's just like virtual first class.
Glass holes. Is that
glass holes?
Is that in the title? It says MetaQuest new travel mode will put more glass holes on your next flight. Is that a diss at people who wear headsets on airplanes?
No.
Or is that an actual name of an actual feature?
That harkens back to the Google glasses that had the little camera in this integrated. They called them glass holes.
The people who wore them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a diss. Got it.
Yes.
So I was talking to somebody about this today. I still think, like, despite the fact that like the Apple thing came out, the Vision Pro came out, and then like the story is that they came out, they got returned a lot, and they're kind of a flop. Like that's kind of where I thought like the media had landed on it, because like mostly with like the return rate like reporting.
Yeah.
Um, I I actually feel like there has to be strong, maybe not regular user potential there. Like if we can just get the apps made, I feel like there's strong commercial use in this thing.
I would.
Like I was talking about this with Anthony. Like realty firms, builders, like they could literally use it as like somebody could sit in your office, and if all the files are uploaded, like we already, like Mattermost already does, like that you place all over the place with your camera and to take 360 photo, you can do a virtual tour, put a fucking LiDAR on top of that thing now too, and have it take a LiDAR scan at every point, and then just have a program at the end mash it all together into this thing that you can walk around in as a 3D virtual space with the headset on. And it doesn't have to be the Apple Vision one, like but you would hold a controller, because you can't like stand up and walk around. You'd have to go out to like a grass field and like pretend like you're walking around the thing. Like don't do that.
Giant
Do
gymnasium
it
or
in
something.
a big hangar.
There's other things you could do. Anthony actually mentioned this, and I like this as an idea. If you've got the plans, like if counties could be good about like making sure that like plans are saved and like everything, like you could do stuff like I put it on and I put it in pass-through mode, and I can see where the studs are in my house.
Oh yeah.
Based on me walking around. Like it's not going to be perfect, but you could do some stuff like that, right? Or I want to see where that HVAC runs in the wall. Like like this, there's tons of uses, I feel like, for professional usage. And like the very first time this happened to me, I might have mentioned it here. I was standing in my backyard and I'm thinking about where we're going to put a 10 by 12 shed.
And you looked up and you saw Starlink?
No. And I'm standing out there looking at the yard, and I'm bad at just like visualizing where a thing will go out there. I'm like, what I really wish is that I could put on an Apple Vision Plus,
see it,
and drag it around the yard, like, and be like, oh, I'm going to put it here. What would it occlude? Like, what would that look like? Like, will it fit here? Like, I can go out there and tape stuff off and move flags around and stuff, but it'd be a hell of a lot easier just to wear a thing that allows me to see it. And then I could like stand on the deck and look and see like what's it look like from the deck, or like what's it look like from the street. Like you can do all kinds of shit like that. And like I was talking about this with a builder we were talking to the other day, because we were out there standing looking a lot, and he's like trying to explain like his vision for like, you know, what you would do, where you'd put the house, what it would angle at. It would be a hell of a lot faster just to fucking show it to me. Like just to fucking plop a dummy house here right in front of us while we're both wearing a Vision Pro, and you drag the thing around and like
let's
kind
go
of
inside and check it out now. Watch out. Watch your
right,
step.
right.
Watch your step.
I fell into like the creek. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm envisioning like, and Anthony said this too. He's like, this would actually be really good for like times when people don't live in Iowa, they live in like Texas, and they're like, I'm moving to Des Moines. I want to look at houses. We're going to come in this weekend, and we got 20, 50, you know, whatever, however many houses we want to look at, but we're going to do it all in one shot because we don't want to come up here a bunch, right? Like that's a thing. Anthony's like, what you could do instead is if we're working with them and like we own the Vision Pro or whatever, we could send them one, like as like the rental with like a deposit or whatever. We could send them one and say, hey, I'm going to be at my office, you're going to be at home. You can wear this, you can walk, we can like tour the thing, like look at them. Let's whittle that like 40 down ahead of time, down to like the 5 or the 10 that we're going to go look at.
With the Apple Vision Pro, you can just put that thing on and walk around the house.
But it doesn't have to be the Vision Pro. Like I'm thinking like,
no, you're right.
I'm not saying in this scenario you wouldn't be walking around. You would hold like a controller or something.
No,
like
right. Yeah, I'm just saying with the Apple Vision Pro, one of the features they talked about was doing 3D spatial video. And so it's like built into it that you can just push record, and like Anthony could walk around the house and he could be like, I'm going to run through all these houses for you. And then you can just fast forward or rewind through that experience.
Right.
Like
but
that's
like,
the easy
I mean,
version
to
that's
me,
already set up right now.
like,
the thing that
I
you
would be
described, though, sounds a
floored
lot
if
cooler,
you
though.
told me that a company like Matterport is not working on doing this right now. Their
pull all my
board
stock out of
should
Matterport.
gut them. Because
You guys heard it here first on the CouncilCast. Pull all of your stock out of Matterport.
No. God damn it, no. Because to me, being able to do this is just the next step in the technology they already have. They already provide you with a way. This is the night
that people are actually watching
No.
and I go to prison.
They already provide you with a way to virtually click around and do like a virtual tour of a house. And I'm sure that helps a lot of people visualize the space. It would be even better if I could wear a thing that actually put me in the space so I could see the scale of things. So it would just need the thing that they take the photos with already, have that be some sort of device too that has like a 360 LiDAR thing on it that scans like around to get the distances. And then you can overlay all that shit on top of it and, you know, do whatever, however you want to make it work. Like, that's just all fucking programming magic.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft did that too. I mean, they had their headset, their AR headset, though, and I think they kind of dropped it from the consumer space, but they're still doing it. I think
the commercial market has to be stronger for this shit. The commercial market also has more appetite for paying $7,000 for a device, because to like a realty firm that wants to use this, they'll go buy 3 or 4 of them. And to them, like, you know, 20 grand, like, okay, that's not a big deal. That's like, we're going to use it to like sell houses. So
yeah,
like this, to me, this has always been more like, yeah, I want to use it to play video games because it's cool. But like the real utility is in the commercial and manufacturing and like all these other spaces. Like, wouldn't it be just like way faster if I had somebody coming in to do electrical work for some retrofit for some stuff and they could pull my plans up online, wear the goddamn thing on their head and walk around my fucking house and like, and yeah, that's a problem as things change. And like, you know, I moved something on a wall or, you know, maybe we changed some over the years. The plans aren't kept up to date. Like, that's a whole separate problem. But your whole house isn't changing most of the time. So like a lot of that stuff is static.
Yeah. I mean, think about it too, like for, I mean, mechanics too. Like that's where I've heard a lot of people trying to use it too. Like if you had your repair manual, for example, loaded into these glasses and you're looking at the thing and it's recognizing where you're at and it's saying, do this thing first, do this thing second, pull this part off. And it's literally walking you through it as you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Relax, don't do it.
So I'm gonna give it a thumbs up for virtual first class, I guess. So for Brian and solidarity.
Random shit.
Well, something that isn't so virtual is trying to prove that your car is safe using your finger. How many people have tried this before where you tried to put your finger in your car door that automatically closes just to see if it would stop?
I have not. Is this going to be a Cybertruck thing?
This is a Cybertruck thing. This guy broke his finger sticking his finger in the front. Yeah.
He did this voluntarily.
Yes.
As a test.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen some of these tests online. I don't know. I've seen some tests on YouTube though, where like people put carrots in them, and they'll see if it'll cut the carrot off or something like that. More often than not, it cuts the carrot.
Okay, but what happens if I slam the trunk of my? Like, there's nothing stopping me from breaking my finger off in my tailgate.
No.
It's not automatic, though. The only thing I have to compare this to that's automatic would be the lift gate on the Telluride. And those, and like van doors, those do stop when they meet resistance. Like, I can go out there, press the button, and if it like hits me on the head and I provide enough resistance, it stops. And
apparently this guy had weak fingers.
Need to drink more malt. Bad bones. So like even though I'm like, you know, shitting on Tesla now all the time, I don't know that I can fault them for having it be a thing that breaks somebody's finger off. It does look like it might be easier to kind of have your hand be casually in that position, maybe, based on the design. From what I remember it being, but like, I don't know. Do you feel like it's silly to like complain about this thing? Because I've slammed my fucking finger in a car door before. It didn't protect me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it is
save
silly.
you that, like, if Windows catch resistance, they'll back off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, it
Is there a
seems, to
video
your
of him
point.
crushing his finger?
Yeah, you can watch the video. I've had old van doors that didn't do the auto close, and you know what? I didn't catch a body part in them, but I've definitely caught other things in them, and it cut them right in half. Like, shit happens.
Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out, like, is there really fault here that should be assigned to
And so
Tesla?
apparently a Tesla engineer said that he did it wrong too. So he apparently, it wasn't just like the very first time. Apparently he did it multiple times over and over, and the engineer says, well, if you do it multiple times, it increases the force because it assumes you want it to close, and there's like maybe a bag in the way, so it just gets harder and harder. Which, okay, now you're purposely trying to defeat the system. It sounds like.
Right. You're like, no, actually close. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Telluride will definitely stop if I, like, because I've done it before. It's been like closing and I've just like grabbed it with my hand and it stops. It's a safety feature. I don't know what would happen if I put my finger like right there and just let it try to close over my finger. I want to say it would actually close and my finger would hurt a lot. Maybe I should try it with like a should I try it with a carrot? Is that what emulates the best? Because a hot dog's pretty
I mean, that'd be
soft.
better than a hot dog, I think.
Yeah.
But hot dog's too soft.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait.
That's what she said.
I'm gonna shove a dowel through the center of a hot dog.
Sorry, it was too slow.
That's
Yeah,
what she said.
I'm gonna say thumbs down for just
You missed an
I
opportunity.
don't know, trying
to
this, I guess.
Chop your thumb off or your finger off here for that vote.
That's what she said.
One missing thumb down.
Oh, well, with that, I think we're going to move on to our billionaire pitches for the week. And anybody want to start us off?
Matt, you got a pitch?
No.
Oh, okay. You had one before the show.
What was it?
Something to do with the iPad.
Oh yeah. But everybody already wants this. Like, this is just me throwing my vote in for Apple really needs to make it so that the iPads can run full Mac OS. And I would take it one step further and say the iPads need to be able to choose the like format that they're in based on how you're using it and allow you to like manually pick it too. So if you want to use it a certain way, like I'm envisioning like when it's plugged into like the keyboard dock thing with the keyboard and the mouse, it's in Mac OS mode, or you can force it into like the iPad like viewing or the iOS viewing of like the operating system. But the second you take it off the dock and you're holding it like a tablet, it's not in Mac OS mode anymore because you need to use it like bigger icons like for your apps and stuff. Like I'm saying that it should be a seamless like thing. You could choose between those things so that this came up because Silas, like these iPads are like getting to the point that it's like, oh, this brand new iPad Pro is better than like the baseline MacBook Pro. Like I don't know if that's actually true, but like they're pretty close,
pretty comparable.
Like so, give me the best of both worlds and let me choose. Like there are still some people that are going to want the MacBook Pro because they will look at it and say, I'm never going to use it in the iPad format. Like it's literally just a thing that like sits on my desk and I take with me to work events and stuff or work meetings and like when I travel. But I would like to be able to switch back and forth.
That's what she said.
Mostly because like I also want to be able to easily code on my iPad too. But it's actually more of a pain in the ass when you're using iPad OS, at least when I'm used to doing it on Mac OS. I don't know.
You're just like
thumbs up it.
Listening, trying to find out when I can. But that's what she said, joke. But then you said I'm used to doing it on Mac OS, and I was like, oh, that's what she said. And then it just reminded me of the joke on 30 Rock when Tracy Morgan thinks that Googling yourself means masturbating. And he's like, hey,
Amazing.
Liz, can I borrow your computer to Google myself?
Amazing.
She's like, yeah, sure. No, he says, can I Google myself in your office? And she says, sure, Tracy. And then he says, can I borrow your computer to do it? And she said, how else do you do it? He said, that's right. That's how it was written. That was pretty close anyway. Get you within 2 counties of it. All right. Well, thumbs up for anything Mac related.
Thumbs up for
because
space.
They can do no wrong.
Nah, I mean, I like them. I'm a pretty big fanboy, but they can definitely do wrong.
Oh yeah, they do all the time.
That doesn't make them that doesn't make them not a nice device. I still have the smoothest experience out of like all my computing devices on my Apple devices.
It's fair. All right. What do you got, Silas?
I would like to pitch I just would like somebody to make a 10 gig switch that is under $100. That's it.
And with more than one port in it, right?
Yes, please. Thank you for that.
I'm pretty sure that exists, but you can probably get one port. It's like great.
What am I doing with this one port?
Yeah, I give a thumbs up to that because I've looked at some 10 gig stuff before and it's expensive. I'm sure Matt knows that too.
10 gig stuff? It depends on what it is. It's actually getting pretty dang affordable.
It's getting better.
I feel like the cards that have to go, like the PCI cards, it's not that bad really.
PCI cards have gotten really cheap. That's true.
The transceivers they're okay. Like what are you thinking is super expensive in 10 gig land?
Switches.
The switches themselves?
Yeah.
How much is a fucking MikroTik 10 gig switch?
If you want more than like 2 ports though.
Let's check.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Like I'm looking at 8 gig ones, 8 port ones over here that are like $250
for 10 gig switching.
Yeah.
Let me look. Hardware.
I'm rough mathing it here.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to bother you guys about this after the show too. So.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, you can get a MikroTik 5 port for $150.
Let's see, gigabit. You need S&P Plus for this.
Yep. Well, you do that. I'm gonna do my pitch. So my pitch for a billionaire is that I want them to create a watch that can show you lunar time and compare it to your current time. Just so you always know whenever you can call the moon. So
like that app that tells us where we are in relationship to the center of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I need this app. Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, actually. This is a great idea.
All right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call this council meeting adjourned. So thank you all for listening as we do record this podcast live Tuesday nights on YouTube. And if you liked what you saw and want to check out all past episodes of the CouncilCast, you can go to councilcast.org or find all the audio files on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher.
All of them.
If you have a topic, all of them. If you have a topic you would like the council's decision on, you can email us at idon'tcare@councilcast.org. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Random shit.